Okay, great. So this is Christine, and I'm working with my friend Marty today. I wanted to give you all a sense of flower essences, what a consultation looks like, and just what they can do for you, how they can how they can help you with your emotions and your whole life, actually.
I'm so
So we're
ready to
just
be
gonna,
helped.
good. We're just gonna jump in here. So, Marty, what is it that what's presenting? What would you like help with today?
Well, I'm so glad you're asking this because it's I've started noticing through the tapping, and I just think flower essences can be such a great support to me in this. That I've had this theme throughout most of my life about this feeling of being attacked. And I know it started early in life, like going back to Catholic school, but I've been seeing it more recently. It's almost like it's really coming up in a deeper way now. I like to think so that I can attend to it and release it. And I think
Yep.
anything that can help support me do this is feeling attacked, feeling criticized, feeling like when there's people that I love and I'm loyal to, and then I feel betrayed because I find out they're not reciprocating it. And it all kind of goes around this feeling of being attacked. And then I had this incident where someone I know has sent an email about me that was just like, the crazy thing is it was so off base, and I'm like, whoa. When she read it to me, my friend was really upset about it. I started to laugh because I was like, this is like such projection.
Mhm.
But there is this sense that of like it was a total attack on me and my character.
Mhm.
And like here's the other thing that comes up around it, the unfairness about that I'm like, and this is someone I was so loyal to
Mhm.
and like really backed up, and yet to find out that it's not reciprocated. Oh my God, Christine, this is such a theme in my life, and it seems to be coming up even more. And I would also say that it's manifesting itself in a bit of a rash in my body, like, you know, what's under my skin, and the rash sort of creeps around my body to different areas. And I thought, wow, there's really something that's trying to get my attention. So
Yep. 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 Okay. Right. I'm gonna when you mentioned, and you don't have to go, just tell me what you're comfortable telling me, where you feel the origins of this could be. Like, what were your first experiences like where you felt attacked? And again, you don't have to, only what you're comfortable telling me.
like Catholic school.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just to be a like a in the and I know I understand. Like I have a really good friend here. She grew up Catholic. She had a great experience. I did not.
Yeah.
I grew up in what I would call a very patriarchal, pretty abusive Catholic school, and
Mhm.
the nuns and priests were godlike, and you couldn't question them. And then I had in first grade, I had a very abusive nun who used to beat all of us. I came to find out there were other things she did, thank God, not to me, but to other people. And I was in the principal's office a lot. And I tell you, it's not because I was a bad kid, it's because I questioned what I was being told. And so, and I didn't dare tell my parents like that I had gone to the principal's office for fear of what punishment might bestow me at home.
Yeah.
And like so in Catholic school there was that, and I think in my upbringing with my family, I would say sometimes in ways, unfortunately, um, my sisters and I would end up being sort of pitted against each other, but not anything that any of us chose.
Right.
It's just sort of the dysfunction that was happening.
Yeah.
And so I've seen this theme throughout my life where there's been I mean, I could go into so many stories where it's this theme of being attacked and betrayed, and often being attacked behind my back, and then always somehow finding out or getting access to somebody saying something about me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that, like, and the weird thing is, it's not like I'm a saint. I'm not at all. I'm a flawed, but it's always like, that's not even true. It's
Yeah.
almost, and I just am really seeing that or feeling picked at or pecked at like like I always think pecked at like a chicken, like criticized, where
Mhm.
it's this sort of always on edge, like
Mhm.
never really relaxing. Does that make sense?
Sure does. Yep. Yep. Okay. Okay. And let me tell you a little bit about how the flower essences work. You know a little bit about them. They they work by a complementary or a polarized action. They're vibrational, so they're subtle. They work in a subtle level. Um, but say, for instance, one of them might be for fear, and it is bringing courage. So it has a two ends of the same aspect to it. So it's like you're bringing an antidote to what you're feeling. So again, if I were feeling fear, I would take a certain flower essence and it would bring me a sense of courage. But also they're not like normal, like Western medication where they just make you feel better, although you might feel better when you first take them. But they also bring insight and awareness to the pattern. So they work in a really interesting way, in a way that I don't know anything else that works that way, because you'll, at the end of the remedy, and we'll talk about how long you take it, you might look back and kind of go, well, that's weird. Like, that's different. And I don't know how it's different, but something's changed. Or that person said to me, what's going on with you? Because something's, so it's a different way of working on our system versus, take a pill, you feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I'm going to look at some flower essences here. Let me see, I have maybe some questions here. And you mentioned some things, when you feel attacked, what do you feel in response emotionally?
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot of anxiety. And then I would say what can come after the anxiety is some fear. Like, oh God, have I done something wrong? It's always questioning myself and then having to sort of wake up and go, I didn't do anything wrong here, but always feeling like I'm wrong. And that goes back to Catholic school. Like always feeling wrong about stuff. You shouldn't ask that question. It's just a question. Yeah.
Right. Boy, I've got a good one that I'm thinking about.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, do you ever feel any anger towards people in response? I have to ask because I know I do, but.
Oh, yeah. Which is funny because I think my go-to emotion in a lot of things is anger. It's become that. But I would say I get anxious first because I definitely have a bit of PTSD just due to my upbringing. I know that. And so I feel anxious, then I feel fear. And then after a while, if it's anything sustained about it, then I start to get pissed.
Oh, yep.
Pissed at the unfairness of it.
Okay.
And this pops in my head, so maybe it's significant. I have very often throughout my life noticed that I've been privy to information. People will share with me information that someone else has said about me, but I'm not allowed to confront the person. That always drove me a little crazy. And I finally was like, I would tell people, I really don't want to hear anything unless I can confront the person, because it's pointless for me to have this information and just have to sit there knowing somebody's saying something, I can't attend to it. So I started to take better care of myself that way and go, I really don't want to hear it unless I have the option to talk to the person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. I think what else? The fear, do you know what the fear is of? Specific, yeah.
Like when you ask me that, what pops in my head is abandonment, fear of abandonment. Like first of all, like, did I do something wrong? And then abandonment is a big deal for me. And I do know when I was 6 months old, my parents had a head-on car accident, and then my parents were, they were alive, but they were hospitalized for a long time, as were my sisters for a little bit. But my mom, if I was remember correctly, couldn't hold me for a year after that. So I definitely understand a bit about probably what happened to me. The abandonment was so deep in me.
Right.
I mean, it's way better now, but I still can go to that place of like, I just think it's fear of abandonment. I think that's been a huge thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's start looking at some essences here. A couple different directions I can go. What I do is I'm going to look up some things. I'm going to ask you how they sound to you. I'll write some ideas down, and then after we're done, I kind of go into my deep intuitive space. I'm going to tune into your body and your spirit and ask, what do you need right now? And I do a muscle testing technique at a distance. And it seems to work really well along with our talk. So we're using the cognitive and also the intuitive piece. But this is one way I get some ideas here. So, and of course I'm tuning in as we're talking. The flower essences work like an onion, like EFT. So we're working with what presents now. And then as you work with the flower essences, other things may pop up. And then if you choose to do another remedy, then we address the things that have come up. So it's really good. And I should tell you this at the end, but I'll just tell you now. It doesn't matter where I tell you. It's good if you may not be a journaler. I'm not a big journaler, but just kind of keeping track daily of the day, how you're feeling in relationship to what you're taking this for.
Okay.
So say we give you some essences for anger. Well, just kind of tuning in. How's that? Some days you might feel even more so. Sometimes but it's gonna shine a light on these areas that you're working on. And you want to feel better by the end of the month. I mean, it's definitely, the idea is they start to balance your emotions. Dreams, you're going to pay attention to dreaming, memories that pop up. Again, what other people say to you, maybe external circumstances shift a bit. That's why, and when I do a follow-up with you, I'll ask you, how the last month was, what happened. Because often people have like an external event happen and they don't relate it, but I know.
Oh, right.
I can tell because their energy's changing. So, we know it's great to work with you because you know all this.
No,
so that's about that peeling the onion. So you're just paying attention, what's the next layer that's coming up? Maybe there's deep grief that might come up after you get down under,
that could be a possibility.
Yeah. Always a possibility. And you know from EFT all these layers that we have in us. Okay, so fear of abandonment. Let me look at mimulus. Mimulus is for fear. And it's for specific fears. When I read through this, like a classic mimulus type, which you may not be at all, timid, shy. I don't experience you that way, but specific and well-defined fears. How were you as a little girl? Were you timid at all?
Very chatty. Like
What
I would say, Christine, is I learned to sort of put a lid on my personality because of the system that I was in.
Yeah.
So I learned to kind of power away at times. I don't think it's my tendency, but I got really good at it, to be like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe mimulus, I'm just reading through this.
Yeah, sure.
I don't feel like this is super, super relevant to you because I know you and I know you're not a fearful person. I don't get that from you. But
I kind of am.
okay, tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah, I literally, Christine, I definitely think fear has run my life, most of my life.
Oh,
Oh, I
okay.
literally think that's true. It's not, it's not like the way I show up in the world. Like nobody would go, oh, she's super fearful. And it's not that I can't do things that are like I can do things that require overcoming a fear. But I would say it in this way, that the little kid in me has spent a lot of her lifetime just terrified
Okay.
and afraid. And interestingly, this is like, I'm married to a guy who's like, this is the way I would describe us. He'll go, we'll both jump off the top platform, but I'll make sure there's water in the pool, that the water's the right temperature, that it's okay. He'll just jump off and then be like, oh God, is there water? So I'm definitely more like dot the I's, cross the T's in a way. Um, I'm more of a planner in that way, but I would tell you as a whole, fear has been huge in my life.
Okay. Okay.
Huge. And growing up, with a father who had PTSD, so there's a lot of violence in the home because of that. It would not instill, even though I would say my nature is not to be fearful,
Yeah.
but oh my God, I was introduced to so much fear as a kid. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'm going to read some of the mimulus qualities, and I'm also going to test you though, because this fear of being abandoned is a fear of something specific, and that is mimulus. Mimulus, some of the patterns here are, you're a sensitive person, which I think you really are very sensitive.
Yeah.
Fear a certain situation, but don't talk about it. This is the abandonment is what I would say, fear of that. You imagine everything to be more difficult and dangerous than it is. What do you think?
Oh, I definitely think there's truth to that. I catastrophize things.
Okay, okay, good. I mean, not good, but.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, it's gonna like my cat. It's oh my God. Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is interesting. You want to be left in peace, to be talked to by no one.
I have times like that. I definitely love my time to myself, and I have not been getting much of that. And that can be pretty challenging for me. I'm social, meaning I can be around people, but then I need to retreat and
Yeah,
just not be around anyone. It's
yeah,
huge for me.
yeah. Okay, well, I'm definitely putting this down as something. I'm just getting, as you mentioned, the little girl that fear is for her, because I, of course, see the adult Marty, and who really stepped up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
I'm seeing that little girl that had a lot of fear.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Spot on.
Are you able to take care of? Let me look up Centauri again. Centauri. I've mentioned this before. Are you easily able to say no to people?
More recently, I definitely, it's something I have had to learn. Oh my God. I think when I was younger, I would constantly be saying yes when I meant no. I still have it. I still have it. I even noticed a little bit this morning with my neighbor. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I caught that I was sort of judging myself, like, I don't really want to be doing this right now, but I did it anyway. But I definitely, it's better, but it's still there. Yeah. And then there's times I'm like, nope, not going to work for me. Like we have people that stay in our home through Airbnb, and if they speed down our road, I have no problem like being, hey, I really need you to slow down. So it's kind of but usually saying no has been a practice for sure.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
better at it now, but oh my God, I was terrible.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me from what you're saying too about when you were younger. Centauri, maybe hypersensitivity to the wishes of others. Um, really the benefit of Centauri is I stand up for who I am, and you take care of your own needs. You're really good at tuning in and taking care of your own needs.
That sounds probably perfect.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. I just notice little tiny ways, like it's like fine tuning, where I'll say I notice this most with my husband. He's
Mhm.
just more like he'll say something and the PTSD is like, okay, I got to take care of it right away. Like I'll catching myself like, Marty, you don't have to go do that right now. I'll be in the middle of something and I notice that knee jerk reaction of, oh, I should go attend to that. When no, I've really got to pay attention to that and go, no, I'm going to finish what I'm doing right now and then attend it. Like that's something really recently
Yeah.
I've been sort of hyper conscious of and being like, nope, not good. No, I'll get to that later. I definitely have that knee jerk, like, oh, I'm going to take care of it right now.
Yeah.
So that sounds
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one that I think every woman should take.
Yeah, I do think that's so true of being a woman in our culture, you know.
Yeah. And if you're raised, I mean, she says here with Centauri, if they have, I'm not finding it here, but if they have a very strong parent, um, someone who is really overbearing, you can come out being a Centauri, just not.
Oh yeah, my dad was definitely a force to be reckoned with. My mom could be too, like they both were. Oh yeah, I at times there were times I was terrified of my dad and my mom. Yeah, at times I was terrified of both of them.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, let's see
Yeah.
what's next. What's next? Let's go to here. There are a couple of anger remedies. Sometimes I give them together. Let me just see. I'm not sure this.
Anger is something, Christine, I really had to learn to allow myself in a healthy way.
Yep.
I had a lot of suppressed rage and then it sort of exploded up. And now I feel like even this, I can like blow up about something and then start to judge myself less about it, which I think is actually a really good thing. Like, okay, yeah, I blew up, but okay, so what? I did it yesterday morning with my husband with something. I just blew up at him and I'm like, okay. And then I was over it. And that's new to be able to go, yeah, okay, I had a right to like, it was okay that I did that. And, I asked for something and then the boundary was pushed and then he was like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So I think it's that pendulum swing, like
Yeah.
to let myself, I used to think I was just a terrible person.
Yeah.
If I would have that. And now I'm like, no, like, and I think also as a woman, it's like, oh, she's a bitch.
Exactly.
No, she's standing up for herself, giving herself a boundary, like, so that's what comes to mind.
The one, let me just see here, Holly. Holly is such a good one. I've taken Holly many times. It's one of the main Bach flower essences. This is interesting. So anger is part of the Holly picture. Can be distrustful. That's part of the picture, which is what you're talking about. This betrayal.
Oh my God.
Then creates a feeling of being distrustful, and you feel that others are insensitive to you, and you fear their moods.
Oh my God. Christine, that was me as a kid all the time. And even now, it's way, way, way less so in my marriage now, but at the beginning of the marriage, absolutely. There was so much playing out, like from my childhood.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I'm in numerology, I'm a 7. And interesting, so is my husband, so it's trust issues.
Ah, yes, holly is really good for that. I have a friend who's a 7, and I've given her holly many times.
Yeah, yeah,
um, I think there's a lot here about the kind of betrayal, suspicion, that kind of thing, I think. And then the positive of holly, that's why this is one of his main essences out of 30 something. I think, I don't know how many there are, 32 or something. It's really, well, holly, he says here, is a heart opening flower. It's really about love. It's really about universal love.
oh my God, this is like so perfect. Like my acupuncturist, she's like, I just keep getting this sense, love, 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 deeper self-love.
Yeah,
She just said that to me yesterday.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, that should be my theme. You know that, I think it's the Beatles song, Love, Love, Love. Oh
yeah,
my God, this is
yeah,
like perfect.
yeah. And it's really, it's love for ourselves and love for the whole of
Yeah,
humanity. I think you have naturally anyway. And that's what these do. They just bring you back to your natural state. They don't do anything or take anything from you or add what you don't, who you are.
because I do feel, oh my God, this is so interesting, Christine. I do feel that in a way, I've sort of developed, like I always saw my own mother as a kind of a hard woman. And I know I was a sweet kid. I mean, I was a gregarious kid a lot, but I do have this sense about me of a bit of a, like, I've developed a bit of a hardness at times and a shell, a rash,
Yeah,
literally creating almost a crust.
yeah,
And that's really been coming up, like, because I want, I mean, I genuinely, out to the general public, I'm very kind to people as a whole. I really am. But I'm also like, if somebody messes with me, then I'm like, you know, but I can also see at times where, particularly with certain people in my life, I'm more like very guarded.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It makes a lot of sense given your background. It
yeah,
makes total sense.
yeah.
Probably, I mean, it's survival, isn't it? It's skillful survival.
Yeah, and I had a female friend, a very dear friend who I really loved and felt like such support and loyalty towards. And then to go through what I felt was a betrayal, I was just like, you know, it was like, whoa, so shocking. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to be extremely guarded
Yeah,
around this person because I have to be.
yeah,
Like such a history of this in my life.
yeah, yeah. Let me just see about this one. Vervain is another one. Again, I'm not sure. I'll test after. I'll do the muscle testing. But one of their big things is fairness.
Oh
And I hear that in what you say. Um,
my God. This is like spot on, Christine. It's crazy.
so some of the behavior patterns in the blocked state, which they use the word blocked, they are really the teachers of the world. And I love this. You become incensed by injustice, which
Oh,
probably have some of that. And you know, it's fine. I mean, it's wonderful.
yeah.
But it's like when we go, like it goes way over.
Oh, yeah.
You're very intense and overly focused. You try to give 150%. And you know, some of these might not be,
Oh, no, that one's true.
let's see. Sometimes overdo things,
Oh, yeah.
just working. It can be a, you know, pushing too far.
Oh my God. I've got that in spades to learn to really
But I,
unplug.
the thing, really the big one is this, just the fairness, the justice. And so let's see, again, I'll do the testing because I'm not, yeah, Let's see. The positive potential of vervain is you know the appropriate amount of energy to use in all activities.
Oh, I love that.
Reactions are tolerant and kind of they're in balance.
Oh my God.
You stand up for your own ideas, but respect those of others and discuss them objectively. You're able to let others dance to their own drummer without having to interfere at all. You use your excess energy wisely and carefully when there's a good cause. You're able to effortlessly enthuse, inspire, and motivate others in the name of a higher ideal. So the empowering statements, they're affirmations that go with these, and I'll send those to you as well,
Oh,
that you can work with them as you take the essences.
yeah.
I relax. I give space to others. I pace my energy. So this is a possibility, and I'll test you for this, but I'm intuitively maybe tuning in that this is maybe even a constitutional, like some people are a type. And I sense that you have this kind of as a, like you're here for a big cause. And so people who are here for a big cause, we want to use our energy wisely in a really balanced way. And sometimes we kind of get in, you know, like I'm here for a big thing, but I'll tune in too. This is wonderful. Yeah. It's the enthusiasm flower.
Oh.
So, okay. A very important one though, which I'm sort of saving for it's not maybe the last one, is pine.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mentioned pine before.
Yes.
Pine is for guilt. And yeah, you be growing up as a Catholic, I think probably everybody needs pine,
Oh,
period. But
totally.
certainly, yeah, they're
Yeah.
so guilt-free.
Yep.
And oh, I love this. It's the self-acceptance flower, from self-negation to self-respect.
Oh my Lord.
Nice, isn't it?
That's wonderful.
So, inappropriate guilt feelings. Okay, I'm going to read through these they're not all going to probably match, but I think I'm hearing it underneath. Apologize for things. You may not do that anymore. You might have worked on that pattern.
Apologize like when I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. As a kid, and I, even as an adult, I would apologize just to get someone to talk to me, even when I knew I didn't do something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You feel responsible for other people's mistakes. You feel, let's see, you feel guilty if you're better off than others. I don't know whether that's true or not. Might not be.
Can't say that I really feel that as a whole, because I think most often I've judged myself as not better off than others.
Yeah. You the reason I picked up on this is that being afraid you did something wrong. The word wrong is a pine word.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is interesting. Again, I'm just going to read through these. You find it difficult to accept presents, unconsciously feeling you don't deserve them. You feel guilty when you need to speak firmly to others. You take little for yourself, give others the first choice. You chastise yourself. Sometimes you feel undeserving of love, refusing yourself the right to exist. Forgive me for having been born. And you may not feel that right now, but
Oh, I definitely think it was a part of me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there's probably still some of that within me, for sure. Oh God. I just think when I was younger, it was, yeah. Oh.
And she says something really poignant here, if I can find it, is, let's see. Well, it's just amazing here, which I think you do in your work. People who have opened up to the positive potential of pine have found self-respect after a long journey of getting to know themselves and being responsible for themselves. These people are the priests of everyday life. They can support others whose consciences are tormented by guilt. It's your work, isn't it? The
Yeah.
bully.
Yeah.
But there's something here, and I'm not sure I'm finding it, about just feeling like you were wrong to begin with. You know, you just to be born in a way, that kind of that baseline.
Well, if you think in Catholicism, you're born with original sin basically scored on your heart. And if you don't get baptized and you die, you go to hell. Like an infant. Like that's what I grew up believing, that you had to get baptized. Otherwise, and I mean, I used to remember like, my God, what happens to a baby, an innocent baby that dies at birth and doesn't get baptized? It was just, all of it was terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, that goes in so deeply to our, feeling like we're bad, or if
Yeah,
we were told we were bad, which most of us
right.
were. So I'm definitely, pine is definitely. What would you, what would you like to feel or be? How would you like this all to be if you had the magic wand? Emotionally, how would you like to feel in response to all of what comes at you, and even not maybe having space at home for yourself? How would you like to feel?
Well, two words, freer and more centered. Just like grounded, centered, like, okay, like, yeah, not so reactionary. And that's, I just have a big reactor in me, and I know that's part of the PTSD, but just to be more like, to be able to take a breath and go, okay, which I can, but in like the way God I live most of my life is like that, always like, okay, wait, jump, how high, that kind of thing. To
Yeah.
feel grounded, centered, and free, like really free. Is it? I was thinking about that this morning. I'm like, oh my God, I would just, freedom is a big thing for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. One other essence is coming up for me. No, look at it. It's not one I would have thought right away, but I also think you are probably more constitutionally, this would be for you. They say Dr. Bach, he was a medical doctor in England in the 30s, and he suddenly had like a revelation. He was a homeopath, which was, unique, although then it was much more out there, more
Yeah.
prevalent. But he had a sort of, I don't know whether revelation is the right word, but he began to feel like if you could work on people's emotions, that would help the physical body. And he began to go on walks. I think he was in Wales. I don't know all the details. And the flowers would literally, he would pick like one, and they would kind of talk to him about the qualities it had. And he would test it on himself, these vibrational qualities, and then test it on people. He would use it for people in the community. But they say walnut was one of his constitutional remedies because he was so courageous in taking a path that nobody else was taking. And walnut is about being absolutely true to yourself no matter what's going on.
Wow.
So walnut is what's popping up. So I'm going to
Yeah.
read you a moment.
Wow. Wow. Hmm.
And I think I'm just thinking, so it can be for a temporary situation. It can be too easily influenced, uncertain, and inconsistent, particularly in transitional periods of life. So sometimes if you move or you go through a transition, you're going to get knocked off, and walnut's really good for that. But on a more kind of constitutional level, you wish to leave behind all restrictions and influences.
Oh God.
but
Yeah.
can't quite manage to do so. So it's really about leaving that past behind, making that break.
Yeah.
Um, you want finally to understand and integrate a major change in your life. I don't know whether that resonates at all.
Well, I would say, Christine, like pushing less, chilling more. Like I've just been a doer forever. And I keep getting this sense, like my husband and I were up in Uray
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend, and he went and took this razor vehicle that he has. And I was like, dude, I'm so happy to sit here by the river with the dogs. And I fell asleep. I just was so happy to be sitting there and doing that. And I was like, oh my God, I need so much more of this. Like more of that and less of the doership,
Yeah.
which is something that's always kind of been a work in progress for me. And I've gotten better at it, but I think it will always be,
Yeah.
kind of like, okay. In our fast paced go do culture,
Exactly. That's right.
unhook from that more.
I don't know about this one. I'll definitely tune in to you when I'm doing my intuitive piece, my muscle testing piece. It really gives you in. It says here you're immune to outer influences and open to inner inspiration. So you're really doing your own. As a pioneer, you stay true to yourself. Um, so maybe it's a maybe. I'll test
Yeah,
it.
muscle testing.
Looking
Yeah.
at it. Because that came up with that freedom piece. But
Yeah, I've had this, which I think the whole success model that we've put out in our culture, and I am so like stick a fork in me. I'm so done with that.
yeah,
And there's intimate people in my life that still have that energy, and I'm like, no, that is not the way I want to go with it anymore. And I find myself, even in spite of the different forces of different people, going, no, that's not the way I want to go with things anymore.
that's right.
So that's the only thing that pops in my head when you say that. I'm like, no, not doing that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Just looking at a couple of other things here. I'm gonna look at one more. I think. Are you critical of yourself? Do you have that tendency?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing I preach about all of us learning to accept. And I'm so much obviously better at catching it with clients, less so with myself. Like I caught it this morning where I was like, I shouldn't be down here doing this. I should be. And then all of a sudden I was like, Marty, you just made a choice to do this. It's okay. Just take the time, do this. It's all going to work out. I caught myself being really critical of like you didn't stand up for yourself. And then I literally spoke to myself. I was like, no, it's okay. You made a choice to take a few minutes to take care of something. So that's okay. Make that okay. Don't make yourself wrong for that. Absolutely, I can be very critical of myself.
Yep. Okay. That beach is one that I thought of immediately because beach can be related to it's really, really sensitive type and can have a critical, especially of themselves,
Yeah.
and can be related to rashes, which is
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because there's a sensitivity that can be sensitive to food, or it can be sensitive to environmental things, or their own
Yeah. Yeah,
keeping
that's
up.
what I mean. I sort of found like, God, I've kind of put this little crust or exterior over myself because I do think I'm actually like quite sensitive. It's not like what I lead with really.
Yeah.
But I definitely know that, Sarah. I know I always was as a kid too.
Yeah.
Really sensitive.
You couldn't do the work you do
Yeah.
unless you were.
Yeah.
Okay. Very touchy about personal criticism. That's part of Beach. Which of course we all are. So these are not problems, but just that kind of real sensitivity and
Yeah.
just, okay. I think that would be a nice, I think that will, that's coming through strongly for me, that would be really helpful. Um,
Yeah, this is exciting.
I love these.
Yeah.
And I think, let me just think if there's any, I kind of tune in sometimes, like the last thing we talk about is you know how it is in a session. It's like, well, how did that come out at the last, 3 minutes?
Right.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention that you feel like is relevant or?
Now I just think everything was touched on, and even some things you said, I'm like, oh my God, that's so like this love thing and all that. It's spot on. Self-criticism, sensitivity. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I love this because what I'm getting, which I know about the flower essences, is it's no accident that a person comes, they're ready for them because it's who they are and they want to step into more of who they are, who
I
they
never
are.
knew. I have a couple flower the Bach, but honestly, Christine, I'm so grateful to be learning more about it. I'd heard about it, but it was never anything that I'm like, oh. But obviously now it intrigues me, and it's just a whole realm. I've done essential oils and all that. Even I would say I'm a baby with essential oils, but the flower essences, I had a girlfriend make one for me one time, and I was sort of like, oh, okay, thanks, cool. But I just didn't think anything of it, and this is so much more, and like it's really intriguing to learn and to hear about his thing that the flowers would speak to him. I completely believe that. So it's
Yeah.
really cool. Everything's energy.
Yes, it is. That's right.
Yeah.
More than we ever will know, probably.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I've got a pretty good picture here. As I said, I'll tune in. If I get another one that pops up, I might add that. I make the remedy up. It's in a dropper bottle.
Yeah.
It's good probably to take for 3 weeks to a month, and then I like to do a follow-up and just see
Yeah.
what you've noticed, how you're doing. Traditionally, the remedies are made with a preservative of some kind of alcohol like brandy or vodka. Most of my clients don't have me put it in, but it's up to you which way you want to go with that. It's about a quarter of a bottle of a preservative, but you don't need to have it.
Well, do you have a recommendation? I mean, I'm not really a drinker, but I don't think a little
Yeah,
bit is a problem.
it's, a couple of my clients say it's too intense, like the taste is, they don't
Oh,
like that
yeah.
taste. So you can go without, just don't, if you do, don't touch the dropper to your mouth.
Yeah, let me tell you this. I have to stay for 10 days starting yesterday. I can't take anything just because
Okay,
I'm about to have a test done. So
yeah,
I can't take any kind of supplement or anything. So with that in mind, maybe it's either send it in about a week without.
yeah,
Yeah, or with is fine. I'm fine with it. It's not like I think it's going to create problems for me.
yeah. Okay,
I'm going to trust your intuition.
okay, I will, I'll do that. And what else was I going to say? Oh, now the best way to take it is 4 times a day.
Okay. I can.
And you work at home, it'll be okay. I mean, some people have a hard time getting in 4 times a day.
Oh, I could
Um,
easily do that.
I don't, because I just pop it in my kitchen and
Yeah, that
see
would
it.
not be a problem.
Morning when you get up, right before you go to bed, and then sometime in between.
Okay.
And I'll send you the description of the essences and the affirmations.
Oh, I love it.
And if you can and want to, just have them printed out, the affirmations, and just kind of be, one of my clients really took it seriously and he tuned into them every day. He read like 1 or 2 or 3 every day. He felt like that really embedded the work even deeper.
Absolutely. Okay.
So, but some people don't look at them, and that's okay too, whatever works for
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
And I think that's all.
Thank you so much. I'm
You're
excited.
welcome. Me
Yeah,
too. Me too.
that's great. I look forward
Good.
to it. I look forward to the follow-up and letting you know what goes on.
Yeah, that's the really important piece, because there's a subtle, sometimes having that
Yeah,
follow-up, people really get to tune back in.
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Christina. I really
And
appreciate it.
you're very welcome.